On this week's episode of BJ in the Morning, we're going to talk about this guy.
Let's go.
Welcome to BJ in the Morning. I'm Juan.
And I'm Brendan.
And this guy
Is Lee.
This is Lee.
I'm Lee.
Lee Goldberg and Osborne.
Just Goldberg's fine.
No, okay. All right. Can I call you Lee?
You could.
Okay, cool. I realized today when you called me, I have you saved in my phone as Lee Goldberg and Osborne. And I don't know why. First. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. And that's how I saved it in my phone.
Well, you got the call. Sorry. You got the call. And you're like, why is this law firm calling me at 8 o'clock in the morning?
What did I do?
I was just curious if you got in any accidents and you needed representation.
Not recently, but I'll let you know.
Perfect.
I'll let you know. So, Lee, this is our good friend Lee. Give him a quick little introduction, right?
Okay. Yeah, if you want to.
You met him first.
Yeah. So, met you through a job we both shared.
That's right.
I, at the time, was a manager, and you were looking for a job. And I think our interview consisted of us mostly talking podcasts, movies, and TV shows.
Yeah.
A lot about pancakes, a little bit about a podcast. And we just kind of went from there. I hired you. And
best decision you ever made.
Yeah. Got through some really tough times at that job. And just kind of, we both left. We're both not at that job anymore, but we decided to stay in touch.
Yeah, I just wanted to be a guest on a podcast, so...
After this, we're never talking again?
No.
Yeah.
Lose my number.
All right, Lee Goldberg and Osborne, deleted. Deleted.
I'll take it off right now.
So then I met you.
Yeah.
I met you
when we started playing Day and Day. We played a D&D campaign for like 2 sessions.
Yeah.
And
we've been on an extended hiatus.
Yeah, extended long rest.
Long rest.
Yeah.
It's the longest of rests.
Those spell slots, full.
But you know what, dude? I feel like in those 2 sessions, I got to know you very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to have you here. Happy to have you as a friend. Right?
Are you happy to have me as a friend?
Sure.
I got one.
He gave you a speech on your birthday. I did not.
That's true.
So
it was my birthday the other day. Full disclosure.
Yeah, happy belated birthday.
And you are how old?
Wow.
You're gonna ask.
We're gonna
right
put that out there. Yeah.
I'm 40.
Whoa.
The big 4-0.
Whoa.
How do you feel?
40.
So Lee here is not only a good friend, he's in my mind a professional D&D player.
In your mind,
he's not really professional. You don't get paid for it, right?
I have been paid for it before.
Okay,
so you're
he's
a
professional D&D player. He streams D&D on.
I don't anymore.
Oh, you don't anymore?
No. That I had a show that was on for a little bit, and it is on an even longer long rest.
Okay.
But I play in a couple home games and stuff, and there's a show that will be coming out that's a couple-parter in the future.
Nice. And then you're also, from what I understand from checking my notes, a professional pancake artist.
Yeah, because I'll never talk about that otherwise.
No.
Yes, I am. I'm a professional pancake artist, and I travel all over the country, sometimes out of country. I haven't done the out of country yet because I didn't have a passport when I was asked for it. I do now.
You got a passport now.
Yeah, because I missed a trip to England to do pancakes in a castle. So
that's on you, bud.
How dare you?
But I went to a different event that was a lot of fun. So that's on you, England.
So how
missed out.
How does one get into pancake art? How does that even come to fruition?
I went to Juilliard specifically for pancake art.
Right. That's the newest course they started offering.
No, actually, I was a cook at a drug and alcohol treatment center in Phoenix, and we would do brunches, which really just meant breakfast 2 hours later. So when that's the case, when you open the doors for breakfast, every resident is going to come right away. So I would knock out like 60 breakfasts in about an hour. Then I'd have another like hour and a half where I'd maybe make 4. So I would get bored, and when people would come in, if they ordered eggs, especially sunny side up, those just looked like eyeballs. So I would make faces out of hash browns, sausage, bacon, and I had a resident who was just like, hey, have you ever heard of pancake art? And I hadn't, but I looked it up. It looked cool, and I had a crap ton of pancake batter left over. So I got a 2-gallon coffee filter, put batter in it, poked a hole in the bottom, and just started drawing on my flat top. And it was terrible. It was really bad, but a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I just started drawing faces, and
So you started doing
Get there.
you started doing pancake art by making Rudy Jr. breakfasts.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity.
Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity.
IHOP's not a sponsor.
Yet.
If you want to be,
Yeah.
IHOP does something with their pancakes, dude. I can't describe. I went recently. This is why I'm saying their pancakes slap. They're so good.
Although, have you seen the Japanese pancakes? They're like super fluffy and thick.
No,
Oh my! They're like
Oh, dude,
it's a cake.
they look yeah.
It's more
Yeah.
cake than pan. Sounds fun.
well,
Sounds
it's
fun.
it's still made in the pan.
But
So-
it's more cake than pan.
How long ago did you start making Rudy Jr. breakfast pancake stacks?
Rudy Tootly. I made them about 9 years at this point.
9 years.
Yeah, and it was just for fun. But being an employee at a treatment center, a lot of times they hire from within. So I had gone to that treatment center to get sober. And, it's not as difficult to do the right thing when you're like in a meeting, in a class, working with, other people. But what's harder is when you're alone and you're with your own mind and things like that. So it actually really helped me because it was something to do, something productive, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of helped me make better habits.
Right.
And it was just a hobby. It was just like I enjoyed it because I'm an overthinker. So just drawing, I don't enjoy because I'll have to get it right. 4 hours into it, and it still doesn't look right. I've hated the whole process. But the good thing is with the pancake art, you've got a built-in timer because you're cooking it while it's going.
And it's gonna burn.
Yeah.
And then I guess you make a mistake or it looks messy or whatever. It's still a pancake.
I mean, that's like our company's motto is
It's
mistakes
a-
are
It's an
Mistakes
audio
are
podcast.
mistakes are oh yeah. For the audio listeners, he pointed to his shirt where it says mistakes are delicious.
And then said, mistakes are delicious.
Mistakes are delicious.
Yeah, and not realizing it was in audio format and pointing to my shirt was a delicious mistake.
Well, mistakes are also happy little accidents.
We learned that from our good friend, listener. No, he's not.
Listener of the
Friend
podcast.
of the podcast,
Mother.
Mother.
ghost of. Yeah, so that's when I got into it, and then I practiced and really worked hard at it to get better, and then I met up with the company Pancakes and signed as an artist, and now I travel and make pancakes for people.
So how long have you been doing it professionally?
Professionally, about 7 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, I'm almost
cool.
good at it.
You're almost good at it.
You're almost there. Just keep practicing, buddy.
I mean, I've seen a lot of your pancakes over the I think we've known each other for like a year or two almost.
Yeah.
In that time, obviously, you're like, hey, check this pancake out. You send me a picture, or you show me a picture on your phone, or watching like live streams that you've done in the past, things like that. I couldn't do that. But then you're going to sit here and say, you can do that because I can do that because I know you.
Yeah. I mean, well, here's the good news. Practicing is fun, and like you said, it's just a pancake. And the good news is your worst pancake will taste just as good as my best pancake. So at home, try pancake art.
Try it.
Just get some bottles.
Just don't get too good and replace me. Don't
Right.
replace me.
Yeah, don't replace them, and also don't show him your pancake art.
No,
Yeah,
do
don't-
show me your pancake art. I'll give
He
you
doesn't wanna
pointers.
see it. He doesn't want to see
I don't want to see it.
it. So on average, probably how many pancakes have you burnt?
Oh, so many.
So many.
So many. The burning isn't as difficult because I keep it at a temperature that like it can stay on there for a long time.
Yeah.
The hard thing is ripping a pancake. Like if I don't let it cook long enough and I flip it and tear it in half, I've that's where the heartache is, especially like at a live event.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Are you ready for the flip? 3, 2, 1."
Here's your 2 halves. Do you give them do you redo it, or do you give them to your...
I mean, when we're working an event and I got like a line of 20 people, I can't really be like, redo. I try to patch it back together. It doesn't, I mean, I've been doing it long enough. I don't do it much. I know how to cook it through. But I will tell you, the worst experience I had doing a pancake art piece was...
Oh, we don't want to hear it.
Good. Never mind.
I want to hear
Next question.
Oh.
No, tell us about it.
No,
Tell us about it.
It was like the very beginning of working with Pancakes, and the way that they do their batter is thinner than I did because it's like it's gonna come out of your bottle when you're working easy. Like you have to work on pressure control. So I was just getting used to how they did it, and I was at Anime St. Louis, and I had a table, and I had this little girl. And what's unfortunate is children are more honest. So I had that going against me. And they wanted an Ariel, the Little Mermaid pancake. And I started and stopped.
Ariel?
Ariel?
Ariel. It's Ariel. Anyways, you
You
started.
So I was doing an Ariel pancake.
I think that's Matt Cutchell's girlfriend's name, Ariel.
No, I did a Ariel pancake. And I started and stopped it, and I couldn't get any control. And the first time that the first line I made making the pancake was my choice, I kept going, and I lost control. And I just, because it's down now made, and it's cooking, and I just know that when I flip it over, it's going to be so bad. And then I flipped it. And this little girl looks at it and just goes, and her dad was like, say thank you. She's like, thanks. And that was early in the event, too, so it was not the best experience.
The way she looked at you was, seriously?
Yeah.
Seriously?
What the hell is this?
I paid no money for this? How dare you?
How dare you give me some knockoff Cartoon Network looking...
Yeah. I'm sorry that happened. Any more horror stories? We want to hear the horror stories.
Yeah, those are the fun ones.
Well, I know I went to an event with you, and I can tell you...
Brendan has a horror story.
I can tell you, for it being the only event that I've done with... I was associated with Dan Cakes and Lee. The getting to the event was a nightmare. And it was just everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yeah.
But it started fine. We left on time.
Oh yeah, I'm always going to be
snacks.
on time.
Everything was going well. And then we were supposed to meet up with another artist in Phoenix, and their flight was delayed. But there was no way for them to tell us that the flight was delayed because they were, on the flight.
Yeah.
And they're like, turn your cell phones off, dummies.
Well, either way, you're not going to have service.
True.
Well, I think that it didn't take off in time, but she fell asleep.
Oh yeah,
she was like, "All right, well, I'm on the plane, time to sleep," and she slept through like an hour of being on the tarmac.
Yeah, before the plane took off, she was asleep the whole time. So we had no idea. So we're waiting, and the clock's ticking, and we have to be at this event at like 1:00.
Yeah,
and it's Flagstaff.
Yeah, we had to drive from Tucson to Phoenix to meet the artist, and then drive down. I'm directionally, up.
Yep,
up.
All of it's up.
Everything's up.
Yeah,
we had to drive up to Flagstaff.
Yeah. Clock's ticking, and we're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, nothing. And I think we decided to wait, and then we waited past the point where it's like we need to go, and that's when we decided we need to go. So we just hopped in your car, which we weren't supposed to drive all the way up there.
No, we were renting a car.
And we're getting through Phoenix. Things are fine, and then we turn this corner. That's the only way. You pass the point of no return, and you turn the corner, and traffic is stopped.
Oh.
For miles. Like not 1 mile, not to like 20. Traffic is stopped, and we were sitting in traffic for what, like 2 hours?
Yeah.
So now we have 45 minutes to drive an hour and a half to get to the event on time.
And the other artist still
Wasn't with
hadn't
us.
landed yet.
Yeah, still hadn't landed.
That does sound like a horror story.
Yeah.
And I think we got to the event, 10 minutes after it had started?
Yeah. Usually we have like 2 hours to set up to avoid any kind of hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I showed up 10 minutes after the start time, but I set up faster than I have ever set up. And I basically was like, look, we'll stay.
I'm running around shaking bottles for him while he's like getting the color. I think this is right.
Shake this.
But we got the ball rolling.
I don't know what to do. Yes, chef. Yes, chef.
Yes, chef. I need hands.
I only got 2.
Yeah. So I started. I'm good at what I do, so I made it work. And then she showed up. I was no talking, just setting up. Had a great event, and then stayed like an extra hour to make up the time.
Mm.
So it turned out all right. And I think the amount of pancakes that went out were more than were probably expected. You guys were just pumping them out, and some insane ones.
Yeah.
Like, there was some really insane pancakes going out.
One request was they showed me a latte art of Luffy from One Piece. And so I was like, all right. So I made a pancake of the latte art of Luffy, and
it looked really good.
Pretty good.
It looked really good. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say it was like a horror story. Technically, it was just, it reminded me of any kind of buddy traveling movie from the 80s, you know, like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like we were
Vacation.
Vacation. Yeah. Everything that was going wrong went wrong. But we made it work. And then we had a great day in Flagstaff the next day.
Oh, it was so fun.
Just walking around, enjoying the town. It was a good time. But that was the only time I've been around for the pancake art. So
when you do an event, how does that, dynamic work? Like, how does an event work for a pancake artist?
I'm the professional here. Let me take the... No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
please do.
Just since I did the
I
one.
still don't know.
Well, like, I'm almost imagining like a caricature drawer.
You think I have an easel in front of me?
or some, you know what I mean? Like, you
Technically...
people come up, do they pay? Do they...
Yeah, so I think the easiest thing to do is to hire us to make pancake arts for an event.
Mm.
It's really hard to charge someone for an individual pancake at an event because it's like every single time you like, what is this? Oh, let me tell you about pancake art. $20, please. That doesn't really work. So mostly we're reached out to by... We do a lot of college gigs, weddings, bar mitzvahs, and then trade shows, things like that. And we have a table that we set up, and I'll have my griddle, I'll have my ring light, and then if we have like a screen, I carry 2 Pelican cases with me, and everything I need is in these 2 cases. And I plug it in, and I start drawing, and then people come up, and if they have a picture on their phone, or I can Google it, I can make a pancake.
Cool.
Yeah.
So people essentially will line up for the pancakes, and you take one at a time.
Yeah. So I'll have my griddle set up, and like, what do you want? And then they'll show me the picture. I'll take a picture with my phone because I don't want to steal their phone accidentally, which has almost happened. Early days. And I'll start on like half of my griddle. I'll make their pancake, and then once I'm finished that one. And it's cooking because it's still food, right? Like, it's not just like I finished drawing, here you go. So while that's cooking, I'll jump to the next person, do theirs, and then I just can go back and forth. And what was kind of cool is the most recent event I did, they wanted to kind of keep track of like, because it was for college, they're like, if they sign in, because we want them to sign in, we give them like a raffle ticket kind of thing. So I actually was like given a ticket for every single pancake I made. And it was a 2-hour event, and I made 25 pancakes. So,
wow.
Yeah.
All right. So when you're not busy, let's say you get there, people aren't really super interested yet. Are you just sitting there making pancakes so people can see and come over, or?
Yeah. So what I like to do, what we all like to do, it also is kind of a little bit of like a psychology thing to do as well. Is if I'm just making pancakes and someone comes up, I don't want to just like wipe away a pancake.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll usually make a display pancake to sort of like you walk up and instead of like, what is this? Like, well, let me tell you about pancake art. I'm like, this is this pancake. And the psychology comes in is if there's something I want to do more than anything else, I'll make my display pancake like kind of that so they see it and it gets their wheels turning like, oh, 90s cartoon characters. Yeah, I know a couple of the,
Yeah.
My most go-to when I do a college event is going to be the Handsome Squidward, which is one of the few things, because I have the best thing that a professional artist can have. I have a neurological thing called aphantasia, which if you've ever seen that meme with the apples, and it's like when you picture an apple in your head, what do you see? I can't see images in my head, at all. So
Interesting.
I have a photo reference, but yeah, it makes it hard because like once I'm not looking at the image, I'm starting to immediately forget the image. So I'm like, it's like trying to hang on to it. So yeah, that's a struggle that I have.
That is interesting. Were you diagnosed with that?
No, I didn't even know it was a thing until that meme was like, what do you see when you see an apple? And someone was like, oh, I can picture an apple perfectly. And I was like, you could see stuff in your head?
Yeah. I see. I'm like, when I try to think of something in my head, it just looks like I get the colors of what it is, but nothing else. So I don't know how to describe
colors,
it.
I can't see colors.
I just see like a mess of like watercolor almost, and that's all my brain comes up with most of the time.
I can see a picture perfect image of an apple with the shiny light set up with a little mist on it.
Oh.
It's got some mist. They spray some mist on it so they can take some pictures. A studio black backdrop, a gray table underneath, a ring light on top.
Are you trying to picture it? Oh
no, I'm trying not to picture myself giving you the old punch in the jaw. That sounds great. I wish that was my story.
Yeah, for me it's just a black abyss with color swirling.
Apple.
Yeah, they're red and green. That's what I see. There's red swirls and green swirls. Sometimes yellow.
I can imagine every single detail. It's weird.
That's
awesome.
normal.
Is it normal?
I don't know.
I think it's extra normal, right? I think it's best. Can you see that in your head and draw it?
Oh, I can't draw.
Practice.
I could set it up and take a picture of it.
I mean, yeah, I've seen your photography. It's really good.
Yeah.
Hire him to make your photo shoots.
Thanks, dude.
He makes all the photo shoots, dude.
I make all the photo shoots.
I feel like I said that in a way that was probably. Hey, if you need to make a photo shoot,
we make photos.
Make photo. Hire him.
You got to make photoshops.
So Lee.
Yes.
Before we get completely off the rails, like we tend to do.
Yeah.
So what else besides the pancake art, like, is you? Like, how do you describe you? Like, when people want to know more about you, I know a lot about you, so I'm trying not to give things away to lead the conversation in my direction, because this is your conversation. So
it's about you.
It's about you.
No, there is no Lee. There's only Zool.
And
you said that, and my brain went to Zoltan.
I was going Ghostbusters.
Yeah, no, I knew, but like Zoltan.
And it's interesting because it, like all things, it is sort of tied to pancake art.
Okay.
But I play tabletop role-playing games, and I love them, especially D&D is what I came up at. But I kind of like pancake art. I didn't start playing until I was like 30, 31. Mm-hmm. But there was a podcast that I listened to called Nerd Poker, which is like Brian Posehn's D&D podcast.
We met him at Comic-Con.
I gave him a pancake of his face once.
Yeah, him and Mike Kaplan. Who I've met Mike Kaplan more than I've met any other celebrity.
Weird,
right? Anyways, continue your nerd.
Well, podcast. So it was it was early days of pancake art, and seeing an image like a 2D cartoon, it's easier to make that as a pancake than a portrait.
Right.
Because a portrait you actually have to do art things with, and I'm not really an art. I'm a cook, not an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cooking is an art, but either way. So I had to practice my portraits, and I was, I will always listen to like an actual play podcast when I'm doing pancake art, like by myself.
For people who don't know what that is.
Look it up. No, it's
Google it, fucker.
GTS.
Ooh, first F-bomb of the episode.
I have a 5-year-old, so I'm like trained to be like, all right, turn swearing off. So
We do that for like half of the episode sometimes, which is probably great for the algorithm now that I think about it.
Yeah.
When we drop an F-bomb first 5 minutes, we get 4 views on the first parter of a 3-part episode.
We'll drop one or two.
Or 70.
When it's appropriate.
Yeah, we either do 1 or 2 or too many of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
so anyway, I was practicing faces. Oh, actual play podcast. Sorry.
just a quick description.
It's basically people that gather around and record themselves, whether it's visual or audio, playing tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sure if you know what that is, you know some of the most popular ones. But for me, my first one was Nerd Poker. And so I practiced my portraits with the cast from that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, my girlfriend, now wife, was like, you need an Instagram and Twitter to get like people to see your stuff. And so I had kind of started doing that as well, made those pancakes, tagged the people in it, and they'd all seen it now. Like they liked it. And one of them, Ken Daly, you changed my life. But he was on there. Mm-hmm. And they had, for their Patreon, they had guests that came in. And one of those guests was Joe Manganiello from True Blood, Magic Mike fame.
Mm-hmm.
And
good-looking guy. Great-looking guy.
Handsome
Friend
lad.
of the show.
Oh, friend of the show, of course.
Friend of your guest. But he was on their thing. And at one point, they're like, oh, yeah, we'll show him our poker face. And then someone says, yeah, our nerd poker face. And then you can kind of hear Ken in the background go, as depicted in Pancakes. And they're like, what? It's like, as depicted in Pancakes. Like, oh, yeah, one of our listeners. So during this episode, there's like a solid 30, 40 seconds of airtime of them showing Joe my Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, look at this. It's a little boy on their dad's tummy. I was like, that's me on my dad's tummy. Holy it was wild. It was intense.
Now you got them looking at your baby photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least a pancake of it.
Yeah, but still.
And so I ended up like talking to him on Twitter. He's like, oh, it's great. Is there any other D&D stuff you like? And I'm like, I mean, I haven't really gotten into it. Like, you got to watch Critical Role, Force Grey, and he was naming stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'll see it. And so I did. And then
anything for you, Joe.
Well, it just, I was like, all right, I got literally at this point nothing else going on but staying sober. So, so I dove in both feet, and I love it. And you don't really learn how to play those games when you listen to those programs and things.
Yeah.
But when you try to play and you're trying to learn, it really makes you connect easier. So, I've been playing, and I love performance. Like, pancake art is performance art more than it's cooking.
Right.
So I really love making wild characters that make no sense, or like that buck against the stereotype. Like my most long played character was a druid who didn't like druid things. Like, he hated animals and he didn't really care about plants, but he was a druid.
Strange.
Yeah, it was fun.
How'd that work?
They woke up one morning and a small version of themselves that was like, if they didn't slouch and were like a hero, was standing over them and said, "You're part of a prophecy. You're one of a circle of druids who are going to save the world." And he just woke up one day. And it was cool because I got to play someone who was a level 6 druid who was still at that, like, I don't know what I'm doing phase. And so it was really fun to kind of play with the concept of, like, accidentally casting spells. I gave my DM, I was like, hey, if at any point you want to just trigger a spell slot, if you want to make my character start, like, an animal talk to my character out of nowhere. Like I'll burn the resources to make that a fun experience.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
It's like a cool origin story, like kind of just that whole background is something cool to play with because you're almost essentially playing two versions of this character then, right? Like someone who has the abilities and someone who doesn't.
One thing I didn't understand about D&D when we first played was it wasn't so cut and dry. And when you think about creating a character, it's like, oh, well, can I do this?
Yeah.
And Brendan's like, oh, well, he was new too at the time. And he's like, I don't know. What does the book say? I'm like, well, the book says this, and this. So I thought it had to be like set in stone. If you're a fighter, you get these weapons. You get this backstory. You know what I mean? If you're a druid, you have to do this, and this. And it's like, it's not like that. Yeah, you can make your character be whatever you want.
I think we had that with the second time we started playing the new campaign. It was like, can I do this? Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
And it worked for some of you guys. Mm-hmm. And one of you guys, it didn't work. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, that's just how it works. Like, if you can't, that's the thing. It's like, if you can't commit to the bit, don't do it. Yeah. Right?
Right.
If you can't commit to your character in D&D, that's what I think breaks the game, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think that there's also something to be said about reflavoring things that exist. Like, you don't, like, if you're new, you don't really want to, it's like, I'm going to homebrew all my stuff, which is creating your own, like, spells or equipment or whatever. But you can, as written, take a spell or an ability, and, I mean, I'm the one doing it, and I'm describing what it is. Every single person at the same time could cast their version of Fireball. And you could have 4 completely different, like, what it looks like. But it still does the same damage, hits the same area of effect, things like that. Like, my big thing was, like, when we would do our intros, like, you know, I'm playing David, the druid who's bad at animals. And so I didn't use, like, the animal shape that a druid can do often, but when I did, it was like a Cronenberg nightmare.
I remember hearing the episode of the horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I'm like,
yeah.
It was like deformed
and it was like, well, because it was like I kind of leaned into my own aphantasia of like someone being like, okay, turn into a horse, and it's like, oh, okay, I think horses, yeah. This is about what a horse looks like.
Did your knees go backwards?
My knee, yeah, my knees like, and I was so careful to explain, detailed and purposeful about describing, like the shattering of bones.
Just how messed up this horse is.
Yep. Yeah. And the voice.
Yeah. And it had a voice, and I didn't like. I was like, well, would you think about hooves, or would you make, you know, human hands at the I mean they were
that's
all
where the details
hands.
Get skewed.
Yeah, so like I had my horse like jump up and like close fist punch something, and it was the best and worst thing that my character ever did.
And everyone was like trying to not crack up in that episode. You could hear it, like, because I'm listening on the podcast, like you can hear them trying not to break, like while he's describing this mess, like. I don't even think you can call it a horse. Yeah, I don't even think you can call it a horse at that point.
I was, I did like because we had to do something that was in water, so I did like a squid, like I turned into a squid, and I love that my DM did this because I was basically going to just decide this as well, which is like, hey Lee, do me a favor, roll a perception check or a history check, and I rolled, and I roll really badly by design, like. I can't roll well. It's just I've got that curse. So I rolled a really bad roll. It's like, okay, great. Do you think David would know how a squid breathes underwater? So I'm like, all right, I can save the day. I made this disgusting balloon with all these like vestigial arms that was in the water, and then immediately had to like change back and get back on the raft because I was drowning.
You couldn't breathe underwater?
I will always lean into a bad roll or something bad for my character.
And that's good.
If it does good storytelling or is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was a session that I wasn't DM for. You weren't a part of it.
No.
It was there was a bunch of messes in this whole thing, but I personally, like, I wasn't in the vibe. Like wasn't feeling the group. It was too big of a group. There was too many people, too many players, and someone who'd never DM'd before. And he was really prepared, so I'll give him props for that. But like, I had already walked in and been like, I'm tired. I had just gotten promoted, so I was working so much, and I think this was like right when I moved back to Tucson. So I was already doing a million other things, and I was like, but I want to play D&D, but I'm not 100% feeling it. So I made a character who's not 100% feeling it. He's a bard that doesn't care. Like, he knows 2 chords, and he just repeats songs he hears out in the wild, right?
Yeah.
So I was just this nonchalant, like, whatever, I guess I'm here I come to save the day, woo, you know, like that kind of super enthused, right?
Yeah.
Every role I had was excellent, and I'm walking through like casting spells and killing these beasts that the barbarians weren't touching.
You're like, whatever.
And I'm just like, nah. I'm here.
Cast fireball.
So I became this like badass in the group for no reason, and I still was just like, would he care?
Yeah.
No. But then I like revitalized the character into other stuff, and that's all I'm gonna say. And he's just become like what I think a future version of this character will be when he presents himself again. So
Well, I think it's like, I don't love playing characters that don't want to be there, don't like. But what I think is a cool way for those characters to flourish is allowing something to happen that changes their viewpoints.
And
makes for a really cool character.
Yeah, and I have that instilled in version 2 of him now, right? Because it's like where he first showed up, he was younger than where he is now, right? In this universe. So yeah. I could talk about D&D this whole time, but I think I don't know how we looking on
The
time.
only thing I'll say,
36.
Oh, we're chilling.
Only thing I'll say, last thing, I roll so bad, so consistently, that one of the fans of our show said that every time I roll a natural 1, they'll donate $5 to charity. And we raised a lot of money.
Oh, wow.
In the month of July.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome, though. That's like a good way to, I don't know, make something that would probably bum some people out feel better.
Yeah.
I think so far, the campaign that we started with the smaller group has been my favorite, and I hope we can continue.
My character has plans for your character.
And I have plans for my character, and there's a lot of things that I didn't realize that I could do, and a lot of things I haven't been able to do yet. But it's like, I think this is the best character I've ever made. It's a good character. Because I've played before, and like I think I was like a fighter the first time, and then I was like a dark elf once, and I was a rogue once, and like I said before, it was just so like, I thought I had to be cut and dry.
Right. Dark
elves come from
the Underdark.
The Underdark, yeah, and it's like you have to be that character, and it's like with this character, I was more okay. I'm a dragonborn who was a giant foundling dude, and I was just like, I don't even know how I came up with that, but it was like, it just honestly just like I just took off with it.
And you're a barbarian, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing I love about your character, actually, is it is the most laid back and chilled barbarian.
Just wait till he gets mad, though.
But I mean, that's the thing, is like that it's just cool to be able to say, like, I don't need to do like that.
Well, see, because I was so big, I didn't have to use rage. Like, that was like my, a part of my backstory was that I was able to not use the rage because I was so big already and intimidating, and I didn't have to do much to get in and out of situations.
Right.
So it was like,
but then that leaves you open to like having a really cool moment when you do have to rage.
When you lose.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, that's when it comes out, because that's the cool thing about this kind of medium of like storytelling through games is you don't know what's coming, but you know what your character would do to get out of certain situations. So it's like, it'll be an interesting moment when your character finds something that can beat him.
Yeah.
Right? And how you'll have to overcome that as a player, but also as your character.
our D&D podcast coming in 2025. No,
BJ and
kidding.
I
BJ in
just
the
remember
dungeon.
our last
Session.
session. We were in a tournament, right? And my fight, I was like, should I rage? And Brendan was like, no. And I was like, all right, cool.
But now that can become
One
part of,
slash,
yeah,
literally
right?
one slash of my
Yeah.
axe, and the guy was cut in half, dude. I was like, holy shit.
And now everyone's terrified of this person that just like is just nonchalant.
He's just in tune
Eating
with
his
it.
peanuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like that just
He's got a jar full of or a bowl full of nuts.
Yeah, just all the time.
But yeah, it's just you're in tune with your emotions as that character, and I think when you break,
Mhm.
you know, if you break,
Mhm.
but we'll say when because it'll happen,
Yeah.
like some shit's gonna go down,
Yep.
right? So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. We have a lot planned, and if you guys want to hear more about anything that we do D&D wise, let us know in the comments, and
Or let it snow.
let us know in the comments, because we're always looking for our next venture, something else to branch off into.
I'm
but
also always in your comments. So if you ask questions to me, I'll reply in those comments too.
He sure will.
Lee will be active in the comments after this episode comes out for 7 days.
Only.
Only 7 days.
I'll get notifications.
All right, man.
All right.
All right. So we've learned about your backstory a little bit. D&D, Pancake Art. You're
I
a
have
cook.
a kid.
You have a kid.
I
You
have a
didn't-
child and
you-
a wife. I'm so sorry. I love you, Miles.
Say hi to them at home. You're not gonna let them watch this. You're not gonna let them watch this.
Yeah,
I
but it's
said the
gonna be-
F word once.
Once. Only one so far.
Yeah.
He's driven in a car with his mom. He's heard words.
But I have some random questions. One's pulled from all different parts of the internet. Just some that we probably wouldn't have come up with on our own, So
Rapid fire?
We're not really rapid firing. I have a list of 10 though for rapid fire. So
Okay.
we're gonna do those at the very end.
Okay.
But if you could give me a number between 10 and 71.
27.
27? All right. This is the question you're gonna
My
ask.
mom's birthday.
That was fast.
It's my mom's birthday.
Are you ready? And this I don't know if we need to answer this unless it's part of it, but
If I need to know your answer, I'll say Uno Reversi.
there's a deck of Uno cards right there for our biggest fan. If you could witness any historical event, which would you choose?
I would choose. I would want to just go back in time and be able to trail the people from afar. I don't want a butterfly effect, but the people whose job was is this food? Because it had to exist. There had found something like, is this food?
It's a leaf.
Food? I just think that's it, because there's just so many things where it's like that we have in our daily diet. They're just like, how do people?
Just
Who was
imagine.
the person that was like this?
Yeah.
Plus
Imagine
he-
the first guy who found milk. Like,
Ooh.
and was it a cow's milk they found first? Because that's what we commonly think of when we refer to milk.
Yeah.
But like, what if they found goats first, and then we just were accustomed to drinking goat milk?
And then just think of all the things that were not food.
And
And all
that
the
dude's
fallen
dead.
soldiers. Yeah, exactly. So just
What did he eat? Some fucking plant,
He
man.
ate a leaf.
It was red.
A tree star. He saw it in a movie once.
Don't eat red.
Don't eat red.
You'll be dead.
But someone had to find that out.
Yeah,
That's
someone did.
Always, for some reason, always been. I would historically like to
To be there for that.
be there for numerous that's.
I just picture you in the back in the bushes with a camera, like,
It's a little notepad.
eat it.
Me just in there. That's not food.
That's not food.
You'll see. You'll see.
You'll see.
All right, give me another number.
10. You said
10 to the 71.
3.
3?
No. 13.
13. What's the funniest thing that has happened to you during a work day?
All right. Well, this is my answer to if you ask me what my strangest request was.
Okay.
I was working a trade show for Pancake Art.
For Pancake Art.
And I asked this, we'd all be like, what would you like? What would you like? This lady had every confidence in the world in asking this. Just said, can you make me a pancake of you? And so and the thing is, like, it's like I'm happy about it, but I'm not happy about it. But I did a really good pancake of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then gave it to someone who stepped away 3 feet, looked at me, and ate a pancake of my face while I was drawing the next. I was just making the next pancake, like, ma'am. So that was, and then my partner who I was working with thought that was hilarious, so they made a pancake of my face and gave it to someone.
Oh my goodness.
That sounds like a fun experience though, like to have.
It's interesting.
It became a fun experience.
Yeah, yeah. I get it. Yeah. All right, hit me with another one.
Juan, why don't you pick the number?
10 to 70.
69.
Nice, cause sex.
What fictional world would you want to live in for a month, and how would you spend your time there?
The world of Bluey.
Yeah.
In the past.
They have a lot of fun.
In the past,
Mm-hmm.
when they're deciding is this food or no, but just that world.
Is this food?
They just seem to like each other all so much, and
Yeah.
their imaginations are so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you just
And
want to live
all-
in Australia.
Nar.
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 Nar. But yeah, I love Bluey for the fact that they're like, hey, parents, it's okay to fail sometimes.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you're watching the episode and you start crying for no reason, and the kids are
Hey,
like,
there's a reason.
They're
well,
like,
yeah,
what?
but like the kids think there's no reason. You're just crying. They're like, are you okay?
It's just those are so much. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to pick the next one
Okay.
since you're giving your picks away. Have you ever told a lie to get out of a tricky situation?
Who hasn't?
Yeah. Are we talking pre or
What?
post addiction?
I can skip to the
Active.
next one if you want.
No. Have I ever had? Yeah, I have my go-to of when you meet someone that you've met before
Uh-huh.
and you don't remember having met before,
This is good advice.
but you have a friend, you know hasn't met them,
Mm-hmm.
and you give them the like, hey, that like, so you hope that your friend will step in and just be like, oh, sorry, I'm Lee,
Mhm.
and they're like, oh, I'm Jeff, and then the other person's like,
Yeah.
except the one time I did that with my roommate in college, and it was just this girl was like, oh my god, hey Lee, and I looked at my roommate, I was like, he was like, he just instead of helping was like, Lee, it's kind of rude you're not introducing me to your friend,
Oh, jeez.
and then just stood there, and it was hard.
Yeah.
So some advice for those listening for those situations. My favorite thing to do when I have that issue is I go, this is my friend Lee, and then I force you to introduce yourself to them so they'll introduce back.
I'd see through it.
You would, but most of the time, it works every time.
It does work.
I do it all the time, like especially when we go out, like, you know, we run into people that you know all the time, people I know all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sometimes we'll both see someone and we're like, who's that person?
I don't know.
Who's that person? I'm like, who's a friend with us right now that they don't know?
Yeah.
Hi, this is my friend so-and-so. And they're like, oh my God, hi, I'm blank, you know, and it's like,
Yeah.
nailed it.
Nailed it.
You could also do the name game, but like, just you go up and like, oh my god, I love the name game. Here, I'll go first. Lee, and then you're like, okay, now you go.
I feel like they'll see through that.
It's never worked for me yet.
All right, let's say one more question.
55.
55.
Also because sex.
I don't want to know.
All right.
I feel like, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Wow, that's a good one. If somebody perceives something about you that you don't think is true, it's still not a bad idea to take a moment for self-introspection, because there is something that is making this person like think something about you. So instead of just offhandedly being like, no, it's worth a little bit of introspection. My stepmother told me that. It's like a good idea, like if there's a perception of you, a little bit of introspection to see if like what that's rooted in is not a bad thing.
Well, even if you don't believe it, it doesn't mean it's not true.
Right,
You
exactly.
know what I mean? It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
we're going to rapid fire these 10 real fast. Are you ready? Unless you want to know our favorite advice, but...
No.
No.
All right, we're going to go down the list. You ready?
Okay.
City life or country?
Country.
What's one song you have to sing along to?
In the Air Tonight.
Sweet or savory?
I like a little savory.
Okay, summer or winter?
Winter.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Hamburger.
One thing you can't live without?
Hamburger.
I knew you were
my family.
dogs or cats?
They're both so good.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird since having a kid.
Heard. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. And then what's your least favorite color?
My least favorite color is like a mustardy but orange.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. The funniest part for me when it comes to least favorite colors is this color right here. I hate the color yellow, and it's our color for the podcast.
Yeah. But it works.
But it works for
It's
the
great.
podcast. I don't hate our color yellow.
Yeah.
Because it's a very specific color yellow. So
I think that those like those
we get the
kind of
hex
mustardy,
code.
those like kind of mustardy things. It looks like someone was like, "Hey, I've got this really cool yellow," and then they like dropped it on like a dirt.
The
ground.
dirt. Yeah.
It's still good.
It's a little brown.
It's still good.
But Lee, we're hitting the last couple minutes of the podcast here.
Okay.
So we're gonna give you a chance to just shout out anything you want. Like, what are you working on? Is there anything that people should be paying attention to? And then follow it up with where they can find you on socials if you want to share that kind of stuff.
Sure. Here's a mixture of both. Pancakes. Thanks. Pancakes. Our pancake art company. You go to dancakes.com is our website. If you're looking for pancake art, we travel. We also sell like griddle kits and things like that. And just we stream every Wednesday on like all the platforms. So Dr. Pancake everywhere. And it's a request stream, so that's a lot of fun. And I'm co-hosting it because they're recording it in the studio in St. Louis. And you can follow me on the social medias at Goldberg337. And then if you want to just make that like show up on screen.
Show up right here. We
Right
stopped
here.
doing that, but I can do it for you.
If you could have it just show up right here on screen. Right here on
A
screen.
little bit higher?
I want it like right. Bam.
All right.
Okay.
Done.
I'm not gonna do it.
I know.
It's like way down here.
Yeah.
Just up his leg right here.
Is this a screen name?
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today. It's been awesome having you. I know we've been talking about getting you in the studio for a long time. It only took us 90 episodes.
Sure.
And you are our first guest.
Our first guest.
Congratulations.
So you know what you get?
Nothing.
Didn't. Did you bring the thing?
What?
Is there a thing?
Did you bring the thing?
Is it this camera?
No.
Oh my
I
gosh,
didn't.
that's so nice.
I didn't bring the thing.
Can I just pick a thing?
Oh, it's right here.
Here
It's
you
right
go.
Here.
There it is.
Here you go. Not a sponsor, but it's Clorox wipes.
So you can clean your sweaty ass from being in this room.
Yeah, it's a hot
is
room.
not
It's a pretty hot room.
cold room. And the anxiety flop sweats are also for reals. So.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
keep our arms tucked in and
Yeah.
you don't open up too much. But again, let me take those back from you. It was a bad joke. I'm
If you want to
sorry.
take it, you can.
Yeah, they're here if you want them, but
You gotta be clean up your office afterwards.
you're gonna just make sure the chair's wiped down when you leave.
Yeah.
But seriously, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you had a good time.
I really did.
Juan, what else do we need to say?
Well, that's your thing.
Oh, it's my thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you liked listening to this episode, be sure to follow Leah everywhere he said to follow him at. And then you can also, if you're listening to the podcast on like Spotify or Apple or Google or however, just leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. It helps us get out there to everybody else. If you want to watch us talk, makes you feel more immersed in the conversation.
Yeah.
You can head on over to YouTube at
BJ in the Morning podcast.
where you can like, subscribe, comment on the videos, and share them.
Don't forget to pancake art that bell.
No, flip that bell.
Flip the bell.
Yeah, flip that bell.
Flip
It's
that
right
bell.
there.
Flip
Flips
that
right
bell.
there.
Flip that bell. Flip. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. We were there for it. But yeah, share the video out to a bunch of your friends. Make sure that you're sharing the love. We want to
Yeah.
get out there to everybody.
Share the love.
But it's easier to like and share photos on like Instagram. So you can follow us on Instagram at,
BJ in the morning _
and then also TikTok. If you want to watch clips from the videos, any kind of dumb skits that we're doing, you can find us on TikTok at.
BJ in the morning _
And I think that's all the social medias right now.
That's it.
I did it a little bit differently than normal.
Yeah. Threw me off, but I'm okay.
You're okay. You just needed to remember.
Flip that bell.
Just pour some syrup on top of the bell.
Pour some sugar on our bells.
That bell is part of a balanced breakfast.
But thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of BJ in the Morning. This is Lee.
Hi, I've been Lee.
You've been Lee. This has been Juan. And I've been Brendan. And I'm just taking it from last week's because you didn't want to do the outro last week. Do you want to do the outro this week?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, go for it. Do it again.
Well, thank you for listening to BJ in the morning. I'm Brendan.
I'm Lee.
And this is
Juan.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Can I do one?
Yeah, you want to do one? Let's let him do one. Let's let him do one. Go for it. No
Hey,
practice.
Thanks for watching or listening to BJ in the Morning. I've been Brendan.
Oh, I'm Lee.
And I'm in the morning. And we
And we will talk to you next time.